Right, welcome everybody to another episode of Chris and Dave's Reality Cast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Phelps, and my co-host and very good friend is Mr. Dave Horrocks.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to Chris and Dave's TV Reality Cast, where we are covering Love Island USA Season 3, Episode 3. Now, Chris, where would you like to start today?
Well, Dave, I've got to say, Will, with his Colombian accent, he still sticks in my head about your police academy comment. I absolutely love that. he's going to be a proper New Yorker, isn't he? But the girls are loving it. And him and Kira have got some chemistry, Dave. You know, we unfortunately, I said it last episode, we talked about it. These guys have got something about them. They're more open in the chat. The English show, they're very guarded, aren't they? And just, I don't know, they're just there for a bit of a holiday. Some of these actually seem like they do want to try and find a relationship. But him and Kira together, these fireworks there, Dave. And I love Cinco and Kasha as well, because there's something there between them. Definitely. It just seems really interesting. But I tell you what's actually, Jeremy and Trina, he's there. What is going on, Dave? He's like, I don't really want to get anything too sexual and all. They're having this chat, and it's like, and she's like, oh, yeah. About an hour later, they're in bed together, Dave. Did everything but have fucking sex. It's like, what is it? Was this his play, like trying to get her to entice him? And then the next day he was like regretting it. But I think there's something nice between them, but it might end up being Jeremy who puts the back burners on, because I think Trina really wants to explore that relationship, Dave, physically as well. So I think it started really well, the US season.
You know, I kind of went through a little bit of a roller coaster with Jeremy in this episode. Old Joe Wicks there.
Yeah.
I think I think I saw this on the Discord chat. He's Connor from last year. I mean, he comes across like a really nice, really sweet guy. But then he's having the conversations with Trina, you know, and he's saying one thing. And then when they come back, they do the old Grease thing. It cracks me up every time. The girls go off with the girls, the boys go off with the boys. You know, it's tell me more. Tell me more.
Did you get very far? I've watched it loads of times, Dave.
And what he was saying to the lads, you know, I'm going to keep my options open. I'm not really interested in a long distance relationship. And it's like, well, that's not quite what you were saying to Trina before. And she's kind of, you know, waxing lyrical about him to the girls. And it's like, how can you experience exactly the same moment and then just go off and have these two wildly different conversations? So at that point, I just thought, you know what? I don't really see that much. I don't see that much longevity with this couple. I do see it with Will and Kira. You know, the fireworks are going. They look great as a couple. I think Cinco and Cache look great and have that chemistry, good chat and everything. With Trina and Joe Wicks, you know, Jeremy, just because of these two conversations they'd had. And then, like you say, he's playing all coy and doesn't really want to move very fast and whatever. Next minute, they're practically banging. It's like, you sort of Connor, he's displaying some early traits where Connor would say one thing to Mackenzie and then go back to the lads and say something completely different, you know, but play at being that nice guy all the time. And it's just, it's too early to properly put him and say he's like a Connor clone, but very similar traits that he's displayed tonight.
I agree with that, Dave. And also, I think we'd had a few comments on Facebook about the UK guys doing that. Like people like Jake going in the hideaway with Liberty. She thinks she's getting this fairy tale relationship, possible ending in a wedding. And he goes back to the lads and he's like, yeah, it was really good. But, you know, I'm going to explore my options. And I think that I agree with that. I can't swear when I saw it, but someone did say, like, what is this with? That no wonder the girls are fucked up because, you know, with the guys in the UK one. And if this is going to happen in the US one, is it like he's trying to save face? And Connor was right, Dave. Connor was like, just sat there and he was almost like loving the fact with Mackenzie that she was sort of trying it on with other guys. She tried everything with him. I mean, Mackenzie wasn't perfect. I know we wasted so much energy on her last year, but they ended up together for a while afterwards, didn't they?
Yeah.
Really unusual. And to be fair, they were probably the ones who lasted the longest. Even, the people we thought were going to win and stay, they're not even together. So you could be right. And it probably won't be for the want of Trina trying. It'll be Jeremy. I don't know what he wants, Dave. So yeah, you could be right. I mean, it's 3 episodes in. Anything could happen. But I'm gonna say, Dave, I was a little bit of a fan today of Shannon. Now, I'd called her out, but I think by the end of it, I'm going to hold my hands up and say I've got complete respect for her because, Josh and her have had these weird conversations. They was halfway through. It felt like she was going a bit cold on him, and maybe it was more he was just being a bit too cool for school, and she's like, yeah, well, I'm not fucking trying. I don't need to try. And maybe a bit like Brad on the UK one. It's like, I don't need to try. I don't know. But by the end of it, I had complete respect for her because Josh gets picked to go with this new girl, Amy. And everything Shannon said was perfect. She's like, yeah, I am jealous. Wouldn't you be? I am jealous of her. I don't want to go on this date. I don't, if things happen, they happen. But I'm sort of ready for it. But I don't want to be put in this situation. But it's Love Island. So for once, Dave, I'll hold my hands up and say, yeah, she got my vote in this episode.
You know what? She sort of won me over for a completely different reason. When they got the text through, and Trina and Jeremy were going to go on a date, she was like so excited, and she's like there, and she's with Trina, she's like geeing her up, getting her ready to go on the date and stuff, dancing about and stuff. I thought that's the sort of fucking wing lady you want, isn't it? Someone who's there, because none of the other girls were there supporting her. And I thought, all right, fair play. Because I guess, from what I'd seen in the first 2 episodes, she struck me as someone who, was very, the world revolved around her kind of thing. But I did really appreciate that. And like I say, she looked a bit vulnerable, but not completely unaware that she's on this show called Love Island.
Yeah. I agree, David. We've poked a bit of fun at her, but yeah, perfect. And yeah, we'll see how that plays out because this girl, Amy, come in, she's really pretty. She's got, it looks on the VT that there could be something going on there. She's obviously going to ruffle a few feathers. That's what it's all about, these new people coming. But no, Shannon won it for me today, Dave. But I tell you who I didn't see coming left field, Dave, was Christian and Olivia. Now, it reeks of, we need to pair up. Let's do it for Love Island to stay longer. But the conversation didn't say that. The conversation was, he was into her. She was into him. She was happy that he was, he was showering her with compliments, which he is. I just can't get past this Joe Exotic, Dave. I really want to. He could be lovely. He could be such a nice guy. But I just see him as like that little weird porno moustache and the Joe Exotic hair. And I'm like, but he's a good-looking lad, Dave. I think if he shaved that off and that he's a surfer, isn't he? So he's fair. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean all that, but I did think the conversation was nice between them, and I was like, oh, all right, fair enough. But it does reek of, is this just a Love Island special because we want to have another week on holiday?
No, I could see them together, I think. So I wasn't that surprised that he ended up kind of making a beeline for her. And, there was moments later on where you could see them, they were like holding hands pretty much. So I think something could happen between them, definitely. He does, you know what, Chris, though? He fancies himself like fucking this season's Curtis. He's like young lad who's got the experience of a fucking 60-year-old man. He's like giving everyone the advice, and it's like, look, you're the single one here. But he thinks he's fucking Curtis dishing out all the advice.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true, Dave. He did say, though, didn't he, at one point? He went, here's me telling you, and I'm single at the time before him and Olivia. So you're right. I think he's a bit of aware. I do feel sorry for Corey, though, Dave, as well. There was that BT. Yeah. I was waiting for the sad fucking, like the whole music or something, or, like, he's just sat in bed with the quilt up to him, just sat there, like, contemplating life, like, what the fuck's going on? And he's a good guy as well. So I'm hoping that he does well. If Amy comes in, she may pick him, or, you just don't know how it's going to go. But yeah, really, really funny, Dave. And even Giovanni as well. he's not in a relationship either, is he? So it's like,
well, he's coupled up with Olivia, isn't he? But she's got no interest in him whatsoever. She seemed a little bit shocked that he's read a few books, which seems a bit off. She's properly pigeonholed him and not got an interest in him. She's already made her mind up without having many chats with him. But I don't see anything happening there. So who knows, Chris? You've mentioned Amy a couple of times there. So obviously, she picks Josh for the date. They go up, for a bit of a jacuzzi thing. Very much like Molly May, wasn't it? When Tommy Fury went up and joined Molly May in the jacuzzi. Amy, Chris, bloody stunning, gotta say. Striking eyes, got that Mexican kind of look, dare I say, Salma Hayek-ish. So she's going to ruffle some feathers. Did you think it was funny, though? So Josh was like, at first he's like, yeah, I'm all happy with Shannon. And she's like, all right, that's cool. And then he's like, no, that's not the response I wanted. I think he was trying to, act all like, yeah, I'm totally not interested. But then, when she was like, oh, right, okay, he's like, but I might be. But I tell you what, Chris, from the preview for tomorrow, or rather the next episode, I can't quite tell who Amy isn't snogging.
I know. Jeremy's in there. There's a few of them. And whether it's a game or something, I don't know. But it doesn't look like with Jeremy, Dave. It looks like they're sat on the chair having a chat. He gets in there. Look, fair play. This is what we want, Dave. We want some drama. I mean, we've already seen in the UK one, the fucking guys are completely, they don't give a fuck. They're just like, yeah, whatever. I'm gone sort of thing. I am gone. So this is going to be interesting if she does turn heads, because obviously we're going to have some guys incoming as well. And I remember the first series of the US one, it was only 4 weeks. I'm not sure how long this one's running for, but it was 4 weeks, the first series. And I think the second one was the same because it was in Vegas, wasn't it, last year? Because of lockdown and they had to use the hotels and stuff. But if this goes for 4 weeks, what's really bizarre, the US one is they don't have anybody evicted. And then all of a sudden it's just a crescendo of people, just so of people leaving. And then a couple come in at the end. And I said to you, it was very difficult for people to make relationships. I mean, the best one ever was Amber and the Irish lad who won it. On the UK one, he come in about 2 days from the end and won it because of Amber's popularity.
Then dumped her by text. What a fucking scene next Tuesday.
What's he called, Dave? The rugby player. Remember him?
I can't remember.
It's your first season watching it,
Grant or something?
No, it wasn't Grant. I can't remember his bloody name, but he was a lovely lad, wasn't he, from Ireland? He was a really good guy. And it was like, yeah, he's fucking gone. So we'll see, Dave.
But that was a brilliant example where he came in. He'd watched all the previous season. It's Greg, Chris. Just come
Greg,
to me.
that's it, Greg, yeah.
Greg, he'd watched, the whole season. He realized social media was completely behind Amber and she'd been treated like shit by Michael. So he made a beeline for her, coupled up with her, said all the right things, won half the cash, then dumped her by text. I mean, fucking hell. What a bastard. But you're sort of thinking, fair play as well.
But if Carlin did waste his entire house...
It's a man with a plan.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, you're right, Dave. Brilliant. I mean, it's not brilliant. It was so wrong. But for him, he just came in and took the money. So, fair enough.
You're still holding out for someone to just take all the cash, aren't you?
I want something, yeah. So yeah, exactly. Anybody who's not heard this on the podcast, like my ambition watching Love Island on the UK, US, Australia is for a couple to get to the end. One of them gets the envelope. In the UK, they get the envelope and it's like, you've won 50,000. Are you going to share it with your partner? Of course I am. No. I want somebody to come to the end, be in love. This is so bad. And then go, fuck that. Bye, Felicia. I'm taking the 50K. Here's your bus fare home. I'm going to fucking Barbados, Dave. That for me would be the ultimate Love Island diss, and that contestant would go down in history infamously, but for me would be the best ever contestant because that is 101. And the only thing I can compare it to, and it might not translate to a lot of our US listeners, so apologies, guys, is there was a show on years ago with a comedian called Jasper Carrott. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Dave, and it was basically they answer a load of questions and then they go face to face, sat across a table, and they have to agree together to go, yes, both say yes or both say no, and they share the money. If whoever says, no, I'm not sharing, and the other one says, yes, I am, the one who says, no, I'm not sharing, gets the money. And it's a dead famous one. And there's this young girl, about early 20s, and this bloke, and it's worth like £100,000. And they're talking, and he's like, are you yeah, I promise we will share them. I swear on my life, I would not do that to you. My mum and dad can't look me in the eye. Gets the result, Dave. She takes every fucking penny of it and has no remorse. It's about 10, 15 years old, but it's a legendary moment in British TV. And I don't know if have you ever seen it, Dave?
No. I think you might have told me before.
God. I think I've told you before. I probably said it on here, so apologies. But that is the ultimate fuck you moment. I'm going on holiday around the world. So I would love for someone to do that. Morally, completely wrong, but just for the TV purposes and me being a masochist in this sort of program, it'd be perfect.
It'll provide us 20 minutes of great entertainment, won't it? So, it's like,
yes.
But the thing is, I just don't ever see that happening because the prize money is one thing, but it's the career after, isn't it? That they're all after, really.
Yeah.
So you don't need to have won the cash, and look, 25 grand is a lot of money, but it's not life changing, is it?
No,
I agree. Yourself a nice car or a big deposit on a really nice car. So I think it's the career after that they're all over, and for that reason, I don't think they'd ever do that on this show. I could see it happening on others where there isn't such a big, career after. But we'll see. It would be brilliant car crash TV, though.
That'd be amazing. Well, I think as well, though, that you say that, and you're right. But surely reality TV is out for a bad guy or bad girl. Someone who goes on these shows and has no remorse. They're dying to break the code, do something different. Years ago, Big Brother in the UK, guy called Nasty Nick.
Nasty Nick.
You remember him, Dave? He was subliminally, when you watch it now, it's pathetic, but it was out in like 2000. And this guy, great context, was writing notes. He was telling people things like, you need to vote this person off. He was basically engineering his own victory. Then all of a sudden, all the housemates clocked on that something wasn't right and got confronted by Craig, who ended up winning it, the Scouse lad, the builder. But it was for TV in the UK. You had like 25 million people tuning in for Nasty Nick, as he was called, to get his comeuppance, and gets thrown off the show. And honestly, I've watched it recently in the last year, and it's fucking so pathetic. You're like, oh my God. And we were so engrossed 20 years ago. So that's what I'm thinking. As a reality TV lover, it would be so good for someone just to go on all these shows and just be a complete bastard, because I think they'd make more money than being the nice guy or girl.
I know we're talking about the US, but can you imagine if Brad did it in the UK? Fucking hell.
You know who he is, though, Dave. Exactly. 20 years later, Nasty Nick is still getting money. And he's still getting like appearances and stuff. Not massively like he did at first, but he made a lot. He even wrote a book and stuff, Dave. You know what I mean? It's like he was on everything. Pantomime villain he was for years, wasn't he? Nasty Nick. He'd come out twirling his moustache and that. So you could potentially make more money if you've got the right engineering, the right marketing people behind you, and be the ultimate bad person. That'd be great. Yeah. I know we're off on a tangent here, but for me, that is just reality heaven.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait for the next episode, Chris, because like I say, it really looks like Amy is going to come in and shake things up. And I just want to ask you, I know we've got an email to come to, but what do you think now? We've seen 3 episodes of the US. We're a bit further ahead, so we're at the end of week 2 for the UK. How do you think these compare?
I shouldn't say this because we've got fans either side of the barometer, but I'm enjoying watching the American one, the US one, more than the UK one at the moment. I love it. I love the UK one. I love the ridiculousness and the great chat we have on our Discord and Facebook and Twitter channels. I love all that because we've got so many nice people, whether they agree or disagree with us. That's what it's all about. Conversation. We all have a different perspective and see things slightly different. I get called out by Sam all the time, like, oh, I don't agree with that. And we'll have a little bit of a debate. She tells me I'm wrong. I accept that I'm wrong, and we move on, Dave. So, but that's what it's about, isn't it? But I do think the US one, the people just seem more likable at the moment. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and it's funny because I've seen a few comments which are like, not really liking the people in the US on the US side of things. But I'm with you. I think the US crop, the contestants just seem a bit more authentic, and it feels a bit more like, things could go wrong and we could reach that nirvana, Chris, where we've got a great couple, and then someone comes in and ruins it.
Yeah.
we get peak drama. Whereas in the UK, they're all just a bit too self-aware. They're all not great couples, so if they split up, no real drama, I think. So yeah, I must admit, I mean, it's early doors with the US, but I think it's shaping up to be a better season, to be honest.
Yeah, and I do think from our perspective, and I always bang on about this, but we're more aware of there is a proper career for most of these contestants outside the villa. I don't know whether there is in the US because I'm not aware that there is. I mean, I've seen it on a few shows where the same people pop up, but I don't necessarily think, and I could be wrong here, please correct me if I am, that there is that career of being a social media influencer outside of these shows properly. Where they turn up on every single show. Like there's an opening of a fucking door and they're there, aren't they, with a camera and that, like, hello, I'm here. So in the UK, there is a proper chance of being that media influencer. I'm not sure how that translates over in the US.
Well, I think if that's where you see your career going, that's what you want to do, then you go on The Bachelor. You don't go on Love Island. Yes. I think that's the difference, isn't it? We don't have The Bachelor and Bachelorette over here. So that is the premier kind of route. I think that's the difference, isn't it? Whereas the premier route in the US, if you want to do that sort of thing, is to go on The Bachelor or Bachelorette.
Yeah, that's a great point. The Love Island is massive in the UK. So you're right, Dave. I mean, you get loads of people going, but I tell you what, there's so many people who watch it who I know wouldn't expect them to watch it. And they're like, I've been dragged into it by my partner. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, of course you have. Yeah. So I've said it to you before, but you probably the same. Look, I hold my love of reality TV. I wear my badge with honor because that is what I love watching. And I don't care what anyone thinks. It's ridiculous nonsense. And I think it's almost like every season of a reality TV show is like the UK version of getting, used to say newspapers are the equivalent. The next day they use for fish and chips, aren't they? Years ago, your fish and chips were wrapped in the day before newspaper. That's what a reality TV show is. You care about that show and then people for that. So it's 2 months the UK one's on. So it's nearly 2 months it's on. We're going to care about that for 2 months. And as soon as it finishes, you might watch a catch-up show the week later, forget about them until like Christmas, they pop up on a TV show, or the next year they're doing a Love Island catch. Oh God, what happened to them? It's so strange with how reality TV works.
Do you not think though, in the UK with Love Island, it's not quite like that. I do think they stick around now. Like especially that crop from season 5 when I jumped on. You still see Amy popping up on the various chat shows and stuff. I mean, Kem from season 3 does the official Love Island podcast. Yeah. They do seem to hang around quite a lot more, other than the other reality shows. They seem to disappear. I agree.
Yeah, and that's true because we watched Olivia Atwood, who was in season 3 with Kem and Amber won it, and her and Chris Hughes. He's not with her now, but she's got her own show. She's with a footballer called Bradley Dack, who plays for Blackburn. She's the division below the Premier League. But we've watched 3 seasons of their show. She's an absolute spoiled brat, but it is not a bad throwaway reality TV show. And I think one of our listeners said we put it onto it and said, like, you said, didn't go on Reality Archive, and they're going to be watching it, catching up because they love Olivia. So it's weird. You're right, Dave. You're right. The certain ones do it. Kem is probably one of the best ones who's done it, and Danny Dyer's daughter, and also to be fair, Olivia. They've got a proper career after. You're right.
Yeah. So we've probably on this US podcast spoken half of the time about UK stuff. So we should probably, Chris, get on to our email.
Yeah, so we've had an email from Lauren. And to be fair, it does segue in quite well. She's put thoughts on Love Island US versus UK so far. Hi, guys. I've written in before during the last Love Island seasons. I'm in Washington, D.C., but I'm watching both the UK season in real time and now they just started US. Oh, I have no life. Haha. You don't, Lauren. You have a great choice in TV programs. Don't worry about
it. Fancy doing that and podcasting about it as well.
Anyway, in the UK, everyone is just so underwhelming. Rachel was supposed to be a bombshell and she's falling to pieces and getting so attached. The girls seem to just placeholders, according to the guys. I think the guys are way too comfortable and they need to sweat a little. I don't really care about any of these couples, even Millie and Liam, which they seem to be forcing on us to get excited about. Lucinda is getting the ick with Brad. Obviously, he's just a pretty face. Kaz is left out and so is Rachel and maybe Faye. Now Aaron and Sharon are just blah and riding it out together now. It's just a weird vibe. In the US, okay, we're only 3 episodes in already. It feels like people are connecting. And Will coming in and just taking care from Corey is just such a funny move. The diversity is already way more impressive at the start. Everyone in the US seems more excited to be there. The UK crowd just seem kind of like they've been in the villa longer. Like they've all had villa fatigue, but not. I think the US season is about to get the messier with the new girl Amy coming in on Sunday. I'll still be watching both and following along with your reviews. Cheers, Lauren. So thanks, Lauren. And she's got the cheers in there, Dave, which we use a lot of. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, thanks for emailing in again. We really appreciate it. And if you want to email in like Lauren, cdrealitycast@gmail.com, and obviously follow us on social media at cdrealitycast. Now, Dave, before we go on, have you got any comments on the email? I think
brilliant points and reflect ours. Like I say, with the, I mean, we'll get onto the UK one, but just I don't really care for any of them really. There's one girl, isn't there, Liberty, who seems quite nice. Rest of them, take or leave. And yeah, I do agree that just the US season just feels more like traditional Love Island. It feels like you've got some couples that you think, these could be getting on. Oh, fuck, there's someone new coming in. It's just going to ruin it all. And, it's like, I'm excited to see the next episode and the waves that Amy is going to create. So, yeah, I agree. I think, as we said at the top of the show, I think the US is definitely pipping it at the moment. I was just chuckling because the fucking name change, again, every time I hear you read out the fucking social media, it's like CD.
No, and Lauren is always digging us out, isn't she? Like the CD, as in SEEDY, the CD podcast. We didn't, honestly, we never, everyone thinks we did that on purpose. It was purely, we went from the Love Island cast, because I've said this before, I know, but everyone, we were saying, can you review this, can you review that? And we didn't feel it was right for us to keep reviewing different shows and still be called the Love Island cast. So we went, Chris, Dave, CD Reality Cast, perfect. Not once did we think that when we talk about it, it reads, which is probably appropriate for what we're doing, but CD Reality Cast, it just, anyway. It's probably another one called something like that, Dave, but means something completely different, but probably for what our context is, it works.
Yeah. I mean, it's so on the money accidentally.
It's when someone says to us, when we're rich and famous, Dave, which I don't know whether we ever will be, but when we're sat there in our LA mansion, well, I might have been Las Vegas, my Las Vegas mansion, Dave, and you're in LA, and it's like, oh, what great marketing you two did. CD Reality Cast. Yeah, of course we did. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we thought it through. Mr. Peter File.
Yeah. It could have been DC. I suppose CD, we got a DC Reality Cast. It might not have worked there. We might have been pulled by, makers of Batman and Superman for that. But there you go. Absolutely brilliant. So, Dave, just before I hand over to you, before we go, we have a new Patreon. So we have our great friend Dee Dee has now joined the crew on Patreon. Nice. And she's over on our Discord channel as well. So welcome, Dee Dee. We really appreciate all your support as always. And we've now got 11 patrons, Dave, which is fantastic. So thank you so much, everyone. We really, really appreciate everybody supporting us. Whether you're on Patreon or not, we know there's so much love out there for what we do. We really, really can't thank you enough. And if you do want to support us, patreon.com/CD, not CD, CD Reality Cast. So here's a roll call of honor. So we've just said Dee Dee. Welcome, Dee Dee. We've got Hannah. We've got Ed, a.k.a. David Brent Love Island. We've got Priscilla. Susan, Hennessy Green, Haley, Tracy, Lauren, Lucky Lulu Green, and Ken Gustafsson. So thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate it. Please get over to Facebook as well. Chris and Dave's TV reality cast. We've had quite a few people join in the last week, Dave. So welcome to them. And I did do a shout out yesterday. Thank you to Charlene for running that over there for us. So please join, guys. It's great. Me and Dave are always on there. Let's get the conversation going about whether you agree or disagree with what we think on Love Island. It's everyone. No one's wrong and no one's right. It's just what we all think. So thank you very much. It's
been a lot of fun. And like I say, can't wait to see what happens next. Proper Love Island stuff. She's going to be, Amy's going to be right in the thick of that. I think Josh's head can absolutely be turned. And, you know, if that happens, then I kind of want some new guys to come in and make a beeline for Shannon. So, yeah, really invested in these. And, yeah, I'll speak to you next time.
See you tomorrow. Bye.